Hello and welcome to Startup Street. I'm Arundhati Ramnan, and with me as always, Shruti Mishra. These are the top headlines from the startup world. Euler Motors raises $60 million in a Series C funding round led by GIC Singapore. The funding round also saw participation by Bloom Ventures, Athira Venture Partners, QRG Holdings, ADB Ventures and Moglix. With this, Euler Motors plans to expand its retail presence in 12 new markets by the end of this fiscal.
Billing startup for SaaS company Zenskar bags $3.5 million in seed funding led by Bessemer Venture Partners with participation from Shine Capital, Basecamp Fund and Converge. The firm will use the funding to invest in engineering talent, accelerate product development and advance its go-to-market initiative.
Spinny launches an ESOP for its staff. All employees of the company, including blue-collar workers, would be eligible to receive stocks. In December 2021, the unicorn had facilitated its first ESOP buyback worth $12 million.
The EU Parliament has passed a new law requiring USB-C to be the single charger standard for all new smartphones, tablets and cameras from late 2024. Among big providers of electronic devices to European customers, Apple is expected to be among the most affected, as per Reuters.
A Russian court has fined TikTok 3 million rubles over the social media platform's refusal to delete content Russian authorities say violate laws against spreading LGBT propaganda. News agencies reported that the case against TikTok was based on accusations that the company was promoting non-traditional values, LGBT feminism, and a distorted representation of traditional sexual values on its platform.
Well, those are the headlines we are tracking for you this evening. Commercial EV maker Euler Motors has raised $60 million in its Series C fundraise led by GIC Singapore. The funding round also saw participation by Bloom Ventures, Athira Venture Partners, which is formerly called Inventors India, QRG Holdings, ADB Ventures and Moglix. To talk to us about the fundraise and the road ahead at Euler Motors, joining me now is its founder and CEO, Saurav Kumar. Saurav, welcome back to Startup Street. First up, what is the current valuation of the company and is the Series C round closed? Or will you be looking to raise more funds soon?
So thanks for having me on the show. It's always sort of like good to talk to you guys. So at this point of time, we have just closed the $60 million round, which was led by the GIC. Since our inception, we have closed to raise roughly around 82 million so far. Fundraising is usually it's a process that continues for more than 6 to 8 months. So right now at this point of time, we don't have any more follow-up plans, but it's a continuous process and we are continuously chatting with financial investors and partners to partner with us along the way. So if something new comes up, we'll be more than happy to sort of come and talk to you guys about it.
Okay, you've dodged my question on valuation. Can you give us an approximate figure?
So I would just say that, we as a company, we do not disclose sort of valuation because, we want to be judged by the work that we are doing and sort of the growth that we are putting in terms of the product that we are putting out, the scale at which we are putting out. But it's definitely higher than the previous one that we had raised. That's all I can say.
Okay, all right. Sort of with this investment, you plan to scale your manufacturing capacity, expand distribution footprint, as well as strengthen your team. If you could elaborate on these plans and share timelines, what is the kind of scale you're looking at and by when?
So good part of the funding is we are putting into scaling up our manufacturing and distribution. So that's number one point in our mind. The second is the talent. How do we get the best talent to sort of work for Euler Motors? So last year, we launched a product called Euler High-Load EV. That was a 3-wheeler electric cargo vehicle. We today have roughly around 9,000 vehicle order book sitting with us. We have been so far producing roughly 100 vehicles per month. Major part of this fundraise, roughly around 100 to 150 crore, is going into setting up the manufacturing facility. It's in NCR region. We are setting that to scale the manufacturing from 100 per month to 1,000 per month by end of this fiscal year. By doing that, we'd be able to deploy those 9,000 vehicles in the coming year. So that's our one of the immediate plan. And obviously, when you're building, you also want to sell all of those vehicles to your customer. So we are also going to expand to 12 new geographies. So majority of our fundraise, we are going to push it toward manufacturing and distribution.
Okay, so it's an increase of probably a 10x increase in capacity is what you're saying. And like you mentioned, you're planning to expand your retail presence in 12 new markets by the end of this fiscal. What new geographies are you eyeing, and what is the kind of impact you hope to create?
So far we have been majorly present in Delhi and Bangalore, and after this raise, we've been sort of working to expand to Hyderabad, Chennai, Ahmedabad, then Patna, Ranchi. So there are some of these regions that we are expanding. So slowly, we have a shot that in the next 2 years, we want to sort of being able to service to most part of the Indian cities. So that's the aim that we have taken. So from an expansion point of view, we want to make sure in the next financial year, we should be able to get to 12 cities.
Okay. Like you mentioned, Saurav, Euler Motors launched high-load EV and electric cargo three-wheeler, which is, like you said, there's a strong growing order book of 9,000 plus vehicles. Where are you seeing maximum demand coming from? And like you said, you're going to increase 10x capacity. So what's the timeline on delivery as well?
So to give you context, we launched Euler High Load last year. That was October of 2021. We had around 1,500 vehicle order book at that point of time. Within a year, that order book has moved to 9,000 vehicles that we had to deliver. That gives us a very strong confidence that Euler has built one of the most sort of powerful three-wheeler cargo vehicle that is not just better than any sort of electric, but it's one of the best sort of three-wheeler that you can buy in the market. To deploy the majority, your question around the customers, majority of our customers so far has come from the e-commerce, the institutional customers. So Magenta, for instance, is one of the customer that had put in an order for 1,500 vehicle. Flipkart, Ecom Express, Udan, Big Basket, these are the major customers sort of that has given order book for us to deploy in the first phase.
Saurav, if you could also shed some light on the kind of robust charging infra you've created, with multiple charging options, customer-centric servicing, as well as financing services. If you could elaborate on those services as well.
Yeah, thank you. So one of the things that's fundamentally different from about Euler from most of the companies is we are not just focused on getting one product out in the market, but we are also looking at the ecosystem around the product. We believe that for most of our customer, charging station is equally important part, servicing, financing, being other part of the ecosystem. We have deployed so far close to 200 charging stations in Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai. And as we are going forward, we are hoping to deploy around 500 of these by end of this financial year.
Okay. All right. So like you mentioned, you manufacture three-wheeler electric vehicles. You've deployed fleets for Flipkart, Big Basket, Ecom Express, Amazon, and Udan for their last mile delivery. I also want to know that, besides bulk orders, have you also started franchisee models in Delhi and Haryana? If you could quickly talk to us about these plans as well.
Definitely. So far, we have been very, very focus on the experience part of our journey. So selling is just one part. When you give the product to the customer, we believe it's our responsibility to make sure that they have continuously a good experience. So in that journey, we believe in the first leg of our distribution, we should be doing it ourselves. So every showroom that we have opened right now, it's a company-owned, company-operated model. However, over the next sort of 12 to 18 months, we are debating about internally to think about the other sort of model that are present in the market. But currently, every showroom that we have put in is company-owned, company-operated, and through that, some of the retail customers are also coming, buying the vehicle, and to facilitate them, we have got special
Sure.
financing plan from some of our financiers like Vidyut Tech, Three Wheels United. We
Okay.
have also went ahead in charging stations. We also built something like charging on wheel to make sure that if a customer somewhere they are run out of charge, we can go to them and give them
All right.
a fast charging top up.
Okay.
So we are doing all of this to sort of facilitate that acceleration of transition for
Yes,
retail customers.
absolutely. Thank you for taking us through those plans of, making that easy transition for your clients to EV. But we've completely run out of time. Saurav, many thanks for joining us on Startup Street today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you.
And from one fundraise to another, Bangalore-based cross-border neobanking platform Vance has bagged $5.8 million in a seed round led by Hummingbird Ventures. This round also saw participation from Global Founders Capital, Y Combinator, Soma Capital, and some angels. Now, Vance is essentially building a global neobanking platform that will enable customers to access banking services across the world. The funds will be used for new products, expansion, and hiring. Joining me now to discuss this further is Parth Garg, the founder and CEO of Vance. Parth, thank you so much for joining us on the show. You're a neobanking platform that will enable customers to access banking services across the world. You're yet to launch, so why don't you take me through your launch plans? How soon will you launch? And what are the kind of services you're going to launch when you start the company?
First of all, thank you so much for having me on the show today. It's lovely being here. As to our launch plans, we're starting off with a couple of key markets for us. It's going to be UAE, India, and UK, India. And one of the first products that we are launching is actually a remittance product. I believe that banking comprises of 5 different pieces, and payments is one of the most important one. So we really want to nail down payments. So we're starting cross-border transactions, remittances from UAE and UK to India, and these will be at live rates and zero cost.
All right. Okay, you've raised $5.8 million. Take me through how you plan to use these funds. What's on top of the agenda at this point in time?
Definitely. So Vance's mission is to get as close to the payments as possible, because that's where we think our moat is going to lie. So a lot of the funds are going to be used to get licenses in a bunch of regions we want to launch. We're going to be scaling up our tech to be able to handle the volume that we want to foresee. And we're going to be using the funds for marketing and hiring, because we want to get the best talent out there, because we're building something that hasn't been done before. And so we need the brightest minds on board.
Right, so a lot of it is going into the products and also hiring the right team. You're also going to use the funds to, you're focusing on remittances at this point in time, but you're also looking at other newer products. Can you take me through those plans as well? What's the next step?
Definitely. The next step is obviously launching a savings product. So we want to enable customers in UAE and UK to open a Vance account. And that Vance account will essentially let them bank in multiple corridors. So they have one single interface that they can use to bank in UAE, bank in India, or bank in UK. And as we keep adding corridors, the single platform will let you access banking infra of all these countries. So imagine using Pay Now in Singapore and UPI in India through the same platform.
All right. Got that. So also, one of the things is you're planning on building an all-encompassing banking platform that will allow users to manage separate accounts, exchange currencies, like you just said, and eventually invest in equities as well across markets. How soon will we see this happen, and what are the challenges you anticipate?
So the biggest challenge for a company like us is always regulatory, right? So we're working pretty hard on building our own legal engine. So getting the best talent on board, going and understanding the legal complexities in each market. And the equities product is something that we're planning on launching in the second half of 2023.
All right, in 2023. Can you explain to us what your revenue model is going to look like? What's the business model going to be?
Definitely. So like a classic neobank, right? We're going to make money on the float that the customers keep with us. There's going to be a lending product, plus any insurance or investments that we do, we take a cut on that. So there are multiple revenue streams, and we're going to tap in all of them to make money.
All right. Your goal is also to build a borderless banking account that opens up realms of using banking products that are currently not possible. So take us through what you mean by this and how soon do you think this will happen? Also, like we just discussed, every country has their own banking regulations. So quite a few challenges ahead then.
Definitely. I mean, that's one of the reasons that something like this hasn't been made, right?
Yeah.
But as more and more people are going global, this is something that needs to be done. And a lot more countries are getting relaxed regulations and they're allowing cross-border trade to happen. So we see something like this over the next 3-4 years to be actually possible. So the timing of this is actually fantastic. Yeah.
All right, so it's going to take 3-4 years for this to happen seamlessly. Now you have big global expansion plans, like you said. You're going to go live in the UAE and UK as soon as you launch, as well as in additional countries. Take us through these plans. How soon will we see this happen, and which country is going to be the focused geography for you?
Definitely. So we're starting off by targeting NRIs to begin with. That's our first target audience. And we're going after countries that have a high concentration of NRIs. So it's countries like UAE, countries like UK, Singapore, US. And these are the first corridors we want to go after. And additionally, we're going after corridors that haven't had remittance as a product evolve much. So if you look at the South African corridor, the cost of remittance is still 7 to 8% per transaction. And those are some of the corridors we really, really want to go after so that we can build banking and payments rails and make those corridors much, much cheaper.
Okay, so you're making those corridors much cheaper. Now your team, like you said, is currently only 10 members. What's the hiring plan? Are you going to have people across these geographies as well?
I don't think so. We really believe in building from India, and we're one of the first fintechs to actually build from India for the globe. So I think a large portion of my team will be from India, but I guess a few regulatory and risk people are someone we need to hire in each geography specifically, according to the regulations.
All right. And what's the potential you see for borderless banking, like going forward?
I mean, so it's as simple as if I think about sending $10 to the US or something, it just doesn't strike my mind, right? Because it's so hard, it's so complex, and the fees is so high. When you enable cross-border banking to that ease, there is a plethora of opportunity and plethora of use cases that spring out, right? Now, commerce and activities and investments and work can be seamless because payments has been solved for it. And that's what we see as the next step.
All right, that's what you see as the next step. Well, Parth, thank you so much for joining us on the show, and we wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, on that note, it's time for us to take a short break. But coming up next, we bring you a special report on the Delhi government's latest partnership with Camp K-12 on how they are making kids future ready. So stay tuned for that one.
Welcome back. You're still with us on Startup Street. EdTech startup Camp K-12, in partnership with the Delhi government, is bringing coding and high-end 21st century skills to government schools. My colleague Aishwarya Anand checked into one such school and also caught up with the firm's co-founder, Anshul Bhagi, to find out the impact of this model. Here's the story.
I'm here at Dr. B.R. Ambedkar School of Specialized Excellence, a government school in Delhi's Rohini area, where families from low-income households send in their kids to get education for a brighter future. From a time when students used to come here for basic education and just midday meals, today these young learners are building immersive 3D games. They're also creating their own metaverse, and they're doing it so without any prior coding or design experience. Now, what is making this a possibility? Camp K-12, an online school for 21st century skills that teaches coding and other STEM topics to students, has partnered with Delhi government to deploy its Hatch Kids platform to teach programming to these students. And we are here to see how this model is making these students future ready. They are the world's youngest metaverse creators. What you see here is not just a regular science lab. This is the place where the magic of coding or metaverse takes place. Let's hear it from the kids. What exactly are they working on and how are they doing it? What is it that you are working on your computer right now? I can see some very colorful things here.
I created a game where the snake is moving forward using the cursor keys, and as soon as it touches the food, that food moves to another position and the score increases. We are actually using Kids Hatch XR. This is the platform where we are learning to code.
I am using Hatch Kids to build a 3D game, Dancing Deadpool.
The School of Special Excellences was started by the Delhi government in 2021 with an aim to impart specialized training to students in areas like STEM, high-end 21st century skills, among others.
My school is one of the 7 schools in Delhi who are running HE21 schools. और उसमें हम specialized courses भी करा रहे हैं like coding, fashion technology, robotics. हमारे पास जो बच्चा आ रहा है वो मिडिल क्लास फैमिली से आता है, तो आप ये कह सकते हैं लोअर मिडिल क्लास फैमिली से आता है, तो उसके पास वो सारी अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं है लाइक बेस्ट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी हो, डिजिटल डिवाइस हो, तो वो सारी चीज़ें गवर्नमेंट ने हमें प्रोवाइड कराई हैं.
Camp K-12 started as India's first coding bootcamp in 2010 at a time when coding for kids was unheard of. Today, the startup claims to have a roster of 4 lakh students across North America, Middle East and India on the platform.
What we need to be teaching kids in order to make them employable, ready for life, for work, that changes very quickly with every year that passes, and yet curricula in schools doesn't keep up with it. And one of the biggest gaps that I see is actually in 21st century skills, in technology skills. Coding is something kids fall in love with. It's expressive, it's imaginative, it's linked to STEM subjects, and it's perfectly aligned with where the world is going with 21st century skills.
Now, can you also take us through your Hatch Kids program?
Sure.
What all features does it include?
We built a platform, Hatch Kids, which enables kids to build 3D, AR, VR, metaverse applications in the classroom, because they deserve to be able to create not just for the world of the past, but the world that's here now and the world that's coming up ahead. AR, VR, spatial computing will soon become a paradigm shift and the new norm in our society. I would like, and we at Camp K-12 believe, that every child should be a participant as a creator in this world, not as a consumer. This program we're doing with the government of Delhi, where they're using Hatch in the classroom, I got to see one child simulate what drone deliveries would look like. Another child built a social studies and history project where he simulated what the Titanic crashed into an iceberg looked like back in the past.
And how do you plan on scaling this platform? Could you take me through the user base that you have on your platform currently?
Sure.
And also take us through like how many more users you're planning to onboard by the end of this year?
So 1.5 million kids, 20,000 teachers today. By the end of this year, we'll be at just the next 3 months, 4 months, we'll be at 3 million users and about 35,000 educators using the platform. Plans for next year are 10 million kids.
How do you plan to monetize this model? Take us through what kind of earnings you're projecting.
Sure.
And last you raised funds was in 2021. That was of $12 million, and for your Series A round. Do you plan on raising more capital to scale the Hatch Kids program?
So we are in touch with global investors all the time and absolutely looking to raise funds with which we can help expand this platform to even more governments, to even more edtechs, even more schools. Over the time, we have many ideas for where we can monetize this. For example, we've had many institutions ask for specialized curriculum for their specific needs. If we've seen edtechs asking us for special features. This Hatch platform, our vision for it is it will become a social viral engine where kids are playing with kids in the worlds that they create, in the games that they build outside of class as well, creating opportunities to build economies there.
While these kids were having fun learning how to code, creating new games and virtual realities, along the way, they were also picking crucial skills that could help them build a steady future. As per government data, India is poised to become a $1 trillion digital economy that could support 60 to 65 million digitally enabled jobs by 2025 to 2026. India's edtech sector, that is expected to grow into a $30 billion industry by 2032, is all geared up to capitalize on this opportunity. Like Camp K-12, players such as Coding Ninjas, Edverse, XR Central, among others in the sector, have also built deep tech and futuristic learning experiences to skill India for jobs of the future. With camera person Nitin Trivedi, Aishwarya Anand for CNBC-TV18.
With that, it is a wrap on this edition of Startup Street. More news and updates coming up on the other side. Stay tuned.